Welcome to Sports Corner with Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier. And now here's your host, Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier.
Oh, yeah, it's the Funky Town by Lip Sync, and we're about to get funky here today. I'm Ralph Williams, your host of Sports Corner. All right, and with my good friend and co-host Smokin' Jim Frazier. And I tell you what, we have a dynamic show for you today. All right, coming up at 4 shortly here. He's in the waiting room, waiting to come up here shortly. Joe KUKLIS will join us from Draft Nation to talk about Steeler football, Pirates, and some local sports and more. And then at 4:30, Bo Crouch will join us, former professional football player, and also has his own podcast. He will be joining us as well. 4:45, Ed NICOLA will join us. He's going to be talking about the what's coming up this year for high school football in the local area here in Pittsburgh. He's going to bring us up to speed on what's going on this year with these teams, who's who, who's what, who's going to win, who's going to lose, who has no play, don't have any players coming back. And also 5 o'clock, Ken CATALONE, who covers the Green Bay Packers, will join us as well. And then at 6 o'clock, a very special interview today. We're going to have WRESTLETALK from 5:30 to 6:15. And at 6 p.m., Tad Jarvis will join us, independent wrestler. I was working on big time Bill Collier, and unfortunately, Bill couldn't join us today, but said he will join us for another show. And that was at 5:30. And I'm working on trying to get Bubba Brewer and Dan Polinsky to come on and talk about their upcoming shows on the same date. But we'll be talking about that during WRESTLETALK coming up at 5:30. Big show today. No excuse not to participate or watch. All right. Call your friend, call your cousin, call somebody, get them here watching this program right now here at Sports Corner every Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. This will be the last show until September the 3rd. I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks. RW Media will have no shows. You can watch all the archive shows on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Ralph Williams RW Media. And don't forget to subscribe. We're getting to work our way up to the 200 goal for the end of the year. Also, I want to dedicate this show today, as I do every Tuesday, to my late father, Ralph Williams II, and my late nephew, Sean Negley Jr. And also, we're sponsored today by ASAP Sports, Amped Up Sports. We're also brought to you by Draft Nation. Also, we're sponsored by CSRMmedia.com, which you can also watch Sports Corner there as well. It's always uploaded onto their website. Galaxy Sports, TGI Sports, Sideline Sports, South Florida Tribune, and also don't forget Sideline Sports and Let's Talk Sports, all national sponsors. And also, Let's Talk Sports, also sponsors of the national sponsors for Sports Corner Radio, and we're getting better and better and more as we go along. Smokin' Jim Frazier, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Hey, I'm ready for this one, Ralph.
All right, we're getting ready to get on the air here real soon here with Joe KUKLIS, but first I got to do my rant for today. My rant today is this. The Pirates have blown it again. This is 8 in a row. When is Derek Shelton going to learn how to manage? He's been the manager of this team now, going on 4 years maybe? Okay. 2020, we gave him a pass. Why? Because of COVID. All right. Well, now it's 3 years going into this, and he doesn't know how to manage a team. All right. He don't know how to manage his pitchers. His lineups are terrible. And I don't know what's going on with this hitting. All right. Now we have fielding problems. So what's going on here with this team? Is this team shutting down now for the rest of the season? Okay. And now people are talking about Paul Skeens should be taken out of the pitching rotation. No. Okay. Do not take Paul Skeens out. If Derek Sheldon would learn how to manage Paul Skeens, the way Paul Skeens should be managed, okay, maybe the Pirates might win a few more games. And he needs to manage the rest of his team as well. And that's my rant for today. Smoking Jim's wisdom.
Hey, Ralph, good job, man.
Thank
Hey,
you.
this is the fourth consecutive year that I predicted that Dan Moore would be the Pittsburgh Steelers start left tackle. So far, so good. Hey, listen, in my draft report, my number one guard was the Steelers rookie tackle. I thought he was built like a guard, 6'3". I thought he played like a guard. He blocked like a guard, loves the run block. He was in there at right tackle for some of the first quarter, gave up 2 sacks, then got injured. I think that you're going to see this year, as I predicted, Dan Moore playing Pro Bowl level left tackle, Broderick Jones playing over on the right side. And sooner or later, I think the rookie you're going to see on the offensive line, maybe by about the 5th or 6th game, is Frazier at center. And that's my rant.
Yeah, especially after what happened this past Saturday, fumbling the ball, couldn't get the exchange, Nate Herbig. So we'll see what happens. But let's talk some more about Steelers and Pirates and the rest of the local sports scene here with Joe KUKLIS from Draft Nation. Always a pleasure, Joe, to have you on. How are you?
My pleasure. Thanks for having me back, Ralph and Jim. Always a pleasure to come on the show.
All right, your thoughts on, and I know there's not much to think about with the first preseason game, but I mean, let's take a look at the draft picks, the rookies, some of the guys looking, as Charlie Batch would say, some of the guys looking to make the team. You know, he says that every sentence when he does preseason color analyst. Your thoughts on who you think could make the team and would at this point, just looking at this first game?
Well, I think the first game was kind of vanilla. They didn't play a lot of their starters. I think they gave some of those backups and guys that are fighting to make the roster a shot to show what they had. It was underwhelming, to say the least. There were only a few folks that kind of stood out in all of this. I think that I heard Jim a few minutes ago talking about the Steelers' first-round draft pick, and I think Troy Fitzgerald had a good game. Does he stay? Does he stick on the right side? I think that was the plan during the draft. Knowing that he was going up against a quality edge rusher in his first outing, yeah, there's going to be some learning that'll have to be done. I wouldn't write him off as a starting right or left tackle. I wouldn't put him in interior line at this point either. The guy has great mechanics, excellent technique. He's got the straight line speed in terms of the way he hits guys and moves them. It was a rough outing for sure, and I think that one may hurt him. We didn't get a chance to see a number of the other rookies, but we did see Zach Frazier. And Zach Frazier, to your point, Ralph, he was very impressive. And I think we may see him sooner rather than later as the starting center. It's hard to ask someone to step into that role right away. These guys their job is to call out all of the offensive schemes, and it's hard to do that as a rookie. But they drafted him to play that position. I think we're going to see him, and maybe Jim's right. Maybe it is game 5. Maybe it is game 6, where we see him kind of fit. I think Calvin Austin did a pretty decent job. I think there's a lot of spotlight on him because of the lack of depth at the Steelers receiving position. And I think that they wanted to see if he could hold up to that. And, we'll see. I mean, again, Russell Wilson wasn't playing. Justin Fields played very limitedly. And therefore, he was playing with 3rd and 4th string quarterbacks and still was able to impress, still made some plays on that side. On the other side of the ball, I was impressed, by, I think, what, with the exception of Keanu Benton.
Really good. I mean,
Peyton Wilson. Yeah, Patrick Queen wasn't in the game. Cam Hayward's not in the game. TJ Watt's not in the game. Highsmith's not in the game. They're not going to start those guys, right? They don't need to. No one's going to get injured. But Peyton Wilson showed that he belongs in the league. I don't think that anybody thought that Peyton Wilson was going to be as good as he played in game 1. I think the hope was there, and I think with his inside speed, we haven't had an inside backer as fast as him since Ryan Shazier. The guy ran 4.40 at the combine, was the fastest inside linebacker at the combine back in February, and that says something. I mean, the guy's got talent, and I think that he made a real impact. He was very, very impressive. So I think if we went down the list a little bit there, looking at the top 3 picks, I think Frazier and Peyton were the Peyton Wilson were the 2 guys that really jumped out off the screen. I think Fatanu has a long way to come.
All right, Smokin' Jim, any questions for Joe?
Great job, Joe. Hey, listen, over the years, they've tried to cut down on the size of penalties, offsides 5 yards, holding 10 yards. The only thing that can hurt you is pass interference 40 or 50 or 60 yards down the field. They can flip the field. I've never been a Joey Porter Jr. fan on a corner. In my draft report, I had him as a free safety. He led the league last year in penalties for a cornerback. He was in there this time, almost raked the guy with a pass interference downfield. What's your feeling on Joey Porter, and how bad do you think he's going to hurt the team this year with his penalties?
Well, I think that when the Steelers drafted him, they knew he was handsy. He had that reputation at Penn State. He clearly has the skills to play the position. He's physical as they come. He's got the speed to keep up with anybody. It's the modern day corner, right? You get these 6'2", 6'3" guys that can run, that have length and can cover the field and cut down the quarterback's ability to get the ball in the hands of an outstretched receiver. And it gives them kind of, their version of Sauce Gardner. Like, that's what they were hoping to get from him, and they got him in the second round and not the first. And that was I think a really good strategy by Omar Khan and the rest of the Andy Weidel, and they picked him there. But you're right, he has to be better at those penalties and managing those, because they really, really do hurt the team. And I think that they knew that going in. I'll give him a pass in his rookie year. He's a rookie. He's got to learn the position. And frankly, the referees, for what it's worth, they're not going to let him get away with it as a rookie. They might let him get away with it as a quote unquote veteron when he's tugging at a jersey here or there. Where it's like he just knows he's savvy. He's been around. They might let that go. But they're not gonna let that go for a rookie. So I'm hoping that the rookiness goes away. I hope they've worked with him in the offseason. I think he's gotten better at that. But I think that he will always be a victim of those easier calls, because he does like to get handsy with the receivers, even when he doesn't need to. So I think Smokin' Jim, you bring up a very valid point. And it's one I think that Steeler fans still this year might be a little skeptical of, or in this case, wondering why he's doing things he doesn't need to do. He's in position to make the play. Just turn and make the play. Put your hand up and make the play. You don't have to tackle the guy, and make it obvious and make it harder for the referees to call those.
All right. I want to also let everyone know, which I forgot to do, that we are simulcasted on Sideline Sports' website. So I just want to let everyone know this is a simulcast. We're here, and then it's also on Sideline Sports' StreamYard as well. So we're on two different sites here. So I just wanted to let you know that starts today. So I just want to let everyone know that as well. Also, we're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500, Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Also, Joe, is brought to you by our new sponsor, Big Dog Auto. Call Big Dog Auto today, 412-999-0191, right over by the Allegheny County Airport in West Mifflin. Big Dog Auto will repair your car at a reasonable price, give you good service, and also they're great people there. Inspection, brakes, oil changes, and more. Big Dog Auto. Call them today. That number again, 412-999-0191, Big Dog Auto. All right, Joe, let's talk a little bit about the Pirates. They're in an 8-game skid right now, and you heard my rant. Your thoughts on the Pirates?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, this team wasn't built for success this year. I think that everybody got a little excited about their prospects of being competitive, and this year being the year that they find their way into a wild card spot. I think the Central is a place where they can be competitive, and there hasn't been that St. Louis Cardinals dominating team. I think that, for what it's worth, I mean, most of the league is beatable. this year from the MLB. There isn't one team that just stands. Maybe the Padres, maybe the Mariners. There's a couple of teams in there that you can point to that have made moves at the trading deadline. But the Pirates, I think the problem is depth, right? They don't have hitting. They traded for hitting in a Pirate kind of way. They didn't go and
Right.
and get a Jazz Chisholm. They went out and got a couple of guys that might be able to help them longer term that they've got contract with. They've got years in term, with these guys. But since they came over, the prized possession there in the trade market is batting 140.
Right.
So he hasn't played as well. But I also think that the team's lack of power is a big problem, something they have to address if they want to be serious playoff contenders, not pennant contenders, but if they want to compete to get into the wild card spot next year, they've got to bring in someone that can hit home runs. And it can't just be Brian Reynolds. They've got to be able to protect him and do some other things with him. And they
Hayes
still
can't
need.
hit. O'Neal Cruz is screwing up in the field. It's just one thing after another. They look
Yeah.
like the bad news bears right now, and they're in an 8-game losing streak. And the only thing I expected from this year, Joe, and I think it could happen if they can start winning again, is 500. I'm satisfied with 500. I mean,
I think that most
you know.
Pirate fans, if you rewound the clock to February, they would say 500 would be a win this year for them. And it's
Yes.
next year is the year they wanted them to take the leap. I think we all got spoiled because the pitching, no one expected the top three, their 1, 2, 3 spots to be as good as they have been all
Exactly.
year.
You're right.
And with Skeens being all-star, I mean, I knew that he was the best player on the Pirates the day they drafted him. But I don't think anybody thought he was this good that fast.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
they've won more than they should. They've lost games that they should have won if they had any kind of offense at all. And I think they've got to address that in the offseason because they're not going to find it in the minors. It's got to come in the form of free agency and trades if they want to be serious next year. And that's up to Charrington and company and whether or not they can make a move that makes sense in free agency or in some sort of trade.
All right. Smokin, Jim, you have any questions for Joe about the Pirates?
Yeah, real quick, man.
Go ahead.
You and Joe and Ralph, you guys doing a good job talking baseball.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you, Joe, would you bring back McCutchen and would you shut down Skeens early this year to save his arm?
McCutchen, I think, still has some gas in the tank. I think for the price tag that they have him for and the expectation is designated hitter, I don't think that's a bad move if he wants to return. I think that's going to be up to Kutch and the Pirates to work out if he does want to spend another year here. I think he's proven this year he still has something left to give. And I think Pirate fans love that, right? They want to see him back. So I think that's a good way to get butts in the seats down there. In terms of Skeens, that's a Pirate decision to make. If it were me, I'd play him out. Look, they've been very careful with him. They've taken him out of no hitters twice at least, when the guy's in the 7th inning and stuff like that. If they want to skip a start here or there, especially if they fall out of contention, I totally get it. But, Skeens is going to get better by playing up here, and even though I get the arm thing, and the Pirates are a team of analytics, so they may end up shutting him down, to save that arm. And I can't disagree with it. I think as a fan that stinks, but it's not, it's a practice that is widely accepted these days. And this is a team that put a pedometer onto Andrew McCutchen, and they would sit him once he hit a certain amount of steps, so
like
yes,
Taylor. He
I
was
think
seeing Taylor because he said Taylor's an older veteran and he needs to sit down. I can't have him playing every game. I mean, it's but it's the same concept almost with Skeens. I mean,
yeah, I can see them doing it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't disagree with it either. And I know that's a cop out. That's not what you're looking for, Jim. But truth of the matter is if they do play him and something really bad happens, especially with a season that may be on the brink of being too far of a stretch, then maybe the smart thing is to do is keep your best player healthy. Get them to sit down, get that arm, making sure that everything's okay. I can't fault them for that. But if they were in the playoffs and shut them down, there were 2 games out and shut them down, yeah, then that would be – people would be labeling that a big Pirate move.
All right. Smokin, Jim, you have any further questions for Joe?
No, great job, Joe. You're the best, buddy.
All right. Joe,
it's my pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me back. Yeah,
thanks for being
anytime,
part
Ralph.
of the program. And Also, don't forget we'll be starting probably around September 1st or first week of September when we come back September 3rd. You're going to be tuned into Draft Nation because you're going to be seeing us on there. I just bought some advertising with Draft Nation. So, I want to thank you, Joe, as well for that. And
Yeah, looking
getting us
forward to
started.
having you on board. Enjoy your vacation, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks, Joe. Thank you. That was Joe
See you guys.
KUKLIS from Draft Nation, big friend of the show, here all the time. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts on what we talked about? You there, Smokin' Jim?
Hey, sorry about that,
That's all
Ralph.
right.
Yeah, that's very good. Like I said before the draft, I would give up my entire draft for Peyton Wilson. Hopefully, the Pittsburgh Steelers will find a way quickly how to use him. I think if he was black, he would have went in the first round. I don't know. I don't know what these guys are waiting on. This guy's all over the field. He's fast. He's hizzy. Everybody keeps talking about his injury. He ain't been hurt in 3 years. And but I like the running game. I think their best value right now is in the running game. I like Najee. I like Jalen Warren. I think the rookie from Georgia,
Yeah,
Edwards.
yeah, he looks good. And then Cordell Patterson's coming back.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah,
he ain't practiced yet.
Well, no, he's back. He's ready to go. He's going to start practicing.
We'll
so we'll see where he goes. Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
He may be over the hill. For all we know, it can happen overnight. But now the big news, Ralph, is Brandon Ayuk is back on the table. So we got to see what's happening with that. I thought the backup receivers did very, very well. Thought they worked hard in the offseason. I thought they deserved an opportunity. But it looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers may be shelling out $30 million a year for Brandon Ayuk. Your feelings on that, Ralph?
Well, you know what? Right now, Smokin' Jim, here's what San Francisco wants. They want 2 number 1 draft picks, and they want a experienced veteran player in part of this trade. I don't think that's going to work. But let me say this: if John Lynch, and and Kyle Shanahan can stop being greedy, okay? And if they want Brandon Ayuk out that bad, then you know what I would do? I'd take whatever I can get and get him out. If you really want him out, I mean, I think the 49ers are afraid to make this deal, and they're stacking the deck against everybody because they said they weren't going to trade him to begin with, and they got so many injuries down there right now. They don't even have a team to field right now for a scrimmage game. They had to cancel it, okay, for a scrimmage. So with that was before the preseason, and now they're just starting to get some players back right now. And if this continues, some of these injuries, and they may end up keeping them down there for the sake of the team. But then on the other hand, you got to look at this perspective, and I'm going to paint you a hypothetical here, and that is that I think that sooner or later, Lynch and Shanahan are going to have to sit down, and they're going to have to say, if we want this guy out of here that bad, we're going to have to take at least what we can get, or knock down a peg some of that stuff. I don't think the Steelers are willing to give up a number 1 draft pick and pay $30 million. There has to be some leeway here or some give before the Steelers will even look at that.
Very well said. I think there's a good chance he resigns with San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah. Yeah, they said they're not trading him. They don't want to trade him. And they're making it hard for anyone who wants him. So here's what they're saying. We're not going to trade him, but if you want him, you're going to pay for it. Okay? And it's that simple. Because I think they really need him there, but if they really want him gone, he would have been gone already. They would have took the best deal they could get right away and get him out. But that's not what it looks like.
They couldn't do that because they had some good deals. New England
and
the Cleveland Browns offered a good deal, but Brandon Ayuk said, I won't go there.
Right.
And he got control because with the Steelers, he already got a contract in place. He won't sign the extension with a team that he doesn't want to go to.
Oh, exactly.
So they don't want to give up all that for somebody that's going to just be there 1 year and be a free agent at the end of the season. So he got a lot of power, Ayuk.
All right, we got We got to take a break here for a moment. When we come back, we're going to talk a few more minutes of some stuff. Smokin' Jim's boxing report at 4:30. Bo Crouch will join us. And then at 4:45, we have Ed Nicola, who will be on to talk about the Western Pennsylvania and high school football right here on Sports Corner right after these words. What do you want to talk about? Well, today I want to talk about Super 8 by Wyndham Grove City. 724-221-7941. Call them today for a great stay at the Super 8 by Wyndham Hotel. Great hospitality, great personalities, and I got to tell you, the room was clean, the price was right, and if you're going to visit the Grove City outlets or if you're going to visit Erie, this hotel is for you. It's the Super 8 Grove City by Wyndham, 724-221-7941. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. Do you want great draft coverage, great draft information? Do you want it all about any draft? NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL. Let me talk to you today about Draft Nation. Yes, Draft Nation has the best coverage of all drafts. NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, anything connected with the draft. And they also have an e-magazine that they'll put in your inbox, $9.99 a month. DraftNation.com. Check them out today. Ralph Williams here. I'm handicapped. I'm in a wheelchair. And you know something? I need a different type of a vehicle. And if you're in the position that I'm in and you need a different type of a vehicle, such as a wheelchair accessible van that you can put your wheelchair power chair in, well, guess what? I have the solution for you. Keystone Coach Works on Library Road, Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, or you can call them today at 833-1900. That's 833-1900. Give them a call today or get on their website and check out their selection of some of the best models of wheelchair vans that they have. Not only can you own, but you can rent and you can finance. Keystone Coach Works does it all for you, and they are the best at what they do. And they've been around a long time. So give Dawn a call. Ask for Dawn, 833-1900, and tell Dawn that Ralph Williams sent you. Keystone Coach Works for the best in wheelchair accessible vans. All right, we're back here, Sports Corner. Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, and Smokin' Jim, your boxing report, and then we have Bo Crouch here with us as our next guest. Go ahead, Smokin' Jim.
Well, I tell you what, man, it's starting to heat up, brother. Bud Crawford, pound for pound, a lot of people think he's the best in all of boxing. They're pushing for him and Canelo Alvarez, maybe one of the top 5 greatest boxers I ever seen, to fight not at 147, not at 154, not at 160, but all the way up to 168. Could be a mega fight, could be a mega deal. Stay tuned. Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, signed, sealed, and delivered for November. I'm predicting Jake Paul, second round knockout. That's my boxing report.
Oh, okay. That was quick. Yeah, I did hear some things about Canelo Alvarez. I don't know much about this stuff. Well, by the way, Smokin' Jim, I hear yesterday you guys did your last broadcast as of right now on PCTV of the boxing authorities yesterday.
It's over. We're done unless you can work a miracle, Ralph. And I tell you what, I got all the confidence in the world in you because you got the personal phone numbers, the decision makers that can make a difference.
Oh, I've been working the phones, man. We're going to get PCTV back up and running. Might take a few, but we're going to get it done. So, but it was nice. Mayor Gainey called me from his vacation spot. So that was nice. I mean, and it was great. And but I'm going to keep the squeaky wheel going because it gets to grease. All right, Smokin' Jim. Our next guest is Bo Crouch. Bo, welcome to the program.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, Bo. Tell my audience here a little bit about yourself. I think you're a former football player. Am I correct?
Yeah. So I played until I was 30. I played pro arena ball. So
okay.
Didn't quite make it to that NFL crest, but
Yeah.
it's where you want to go, but sometimes the careers pull up short, right?
Yeah, that's it.
But it was a lot of fun. Did win a national championship, so I mean, it wasn't all fruitless. Got a ring, so it was fun.
All right. Let me ask you this, Bo. You have a podcast you do. Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, so actually, I'm super busy on that front. I'm probably between my shows and other shows I'm on. I'm probably on camera about 20 hours a week, and a bunch of them are on Roku TV. So it's on
Right.
the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. So, but obviously on my YouTube channel, it's just at football-talk. And so we talk all sports. Obviously, the name would be a little misleading, but
Okay, well, that's great. First, let's get started here. College football's coming up. Your thoughts on the season? Who do you think's gonna? Which conference do you think is really going to be a great conference this year?
I'm excited to see how the Big 12 shakes out. Just
Okay.
because there's so much power within that conference. I think it's going to be fun to watch. That being said, I think Texas is going to be a really intriguing one. Ewers potentially, if he can stay healthy, has I would think an inside track to getting the Heisman, because he's
Right.
just going to have less competition within his conference. So that should lend itself well to having a great record.
Oh yeah. What do you think of Alabama without Nick Saban this year? Where do you think they go?
I mean, so I'm a Huskies fan, right? I'm here in the Seattle area. So it's not like they had a huge drop off with the coach they picked up. Obviously, the coach they just grabbed was in the national title game. So, yeah. Hey, thanks for stopping in. Back it up.
Yeah, there you go. Back It Up Binge podcast. Thank you for being on today. Appreciate it. All
But
right.
yeah, so I think Alabama is going to be solid. They might be a little overrated in the rankings. If I remember right, the rankings has them at 4.
Uh-huh.
That might be a little ahead of where they'll be. But I mean, Alabama always has a great recruiting class, and it's not a huge step down at the coaching position. So I think they'll be fine. And with the expanded playoffs, I mean, they'll be a playoff team for sure.
Right. Exactly. Smokin Jim Frazier, my co-host here, Bo. Smokin Jim, say hello to Bo Crouch.
Hey, my man, Bo, what's happening?
How's it going, man?
All right. Smokin Jim, you have any questions for Bo?
Yeah, I mean, Bo carried me right into it with the expanded playoffs. I think it's going to be 12 teams get in. You think that's too many or not enough, Bo?
No, 12 is solid. So college football is so different, right? And when it was 4, it was a mathematical problem, right? Because you had a power 5, right? You should have at least been able to get one from each conference in this thing. So now they move it to 12. And if you're on the outside looking in, you don't have a real gripe, right? Because it means you just didn't win enough games. This last year showed exactly why they needed the expanded playoffs. You have an undefeated team that can't get in the ring, right? That's a problem. So now you play this 12 team. And if you are a 2-loss team, 3-loss team, potentially at the 12th spot, you don't really have any room to complain. If you wanted to get in, win more games. Simple as that.
Exactly.
So, I don't think it needs to be expanded, although it does sound like it's going to move to 14, but 12 teams seems like plenty.
All right. Let's get into some NFL talk a little bit, Bo. I know you cover the Seattle Seahawks. You have a new coach here, Mike McDonald. What's the word going around? What's the hype there in Seattle? How's it looking?
Yeah, so parts of it look good. So I've been at the practices, and there's parts of it that I like. There is a lot of intensity. Obviously, you've heard about the fights that have broke out during practices, stuff like that. So I don't mind fights to a degree. Like if it's a scuffle out there, no problem with it at all. It just shows that there is intensity and urgency, right? Because you have 40 guys that are trying for the last 10 spots of a roster. So I don't mind any of that. Now, when you get to the part where Bobo got socked in the face, right? his helmet got ripped off. He got punched. And then it wasn't 15 minutes later, you got DK who gets a helmet off and swings it at somebody. And Trey Brown, as I recall, and that got so much play because it actually got caught on television cameras. So, some of those things you don't like to see. But the things that I did like is there appears to be a step forward on the defense, which is a huge plus when you look at where the defense has been over the last 5 years for the Seahawks. They've been a bottom 5 defense, right?
Yes.
And now you're looking at an offensive line. They get their 2 tackles that were injured last year, right? They both got hurt halfway through the first game of the season. They didn't end up with an offensive line that was their desired front 5 until week 14, 15, right? Hard to win a lot of games that way.
Oh yeah, it is. It's very hard to win games when that happens. And you got to watch injuries too, Bo. And then on top of that, you guys have a new coaching staff this year. But, the intensity of those fights goes to show that this could be a physically tough team from now on. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to look at as a positive perspective. Exactly. The negative is people see it on TV and they go, oh, there's fighting going on. They're throwing helmets everywhere. I'd rather have a team that's tough with intensity than have a team that's not tough at all. You know what I mean? And that's where Mike McDonald's putting a tough thing into this.
Yeah, so I agree with that mostly. When you get to the spot where you got people throwing punches or
yeah, that's a little bit tough. Yeah, I get
those
that.
Those 2 things I have a problem with, and the only reason I do is those disrupt the game, right? Like if it's a scuffle, most of the time the flag's not even going to come out, right? Unless somebody gets thrown to the ground. Like if it's just kind of shoving around, the refs will generally, just kind of break that thing up. As soon as you have someone throwing a punch or swinging a helmet, you're ejected from the game.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, no kid. Right.
No question. If you punch somebody, it's kind of a gray area, but odds are you're also leaving that game. The other side of that is the guy that swung the helmet is DK, and he has a real problem with off the ball penalties, certainly after the play. So if you look through the course of his career here in Seattle, he has a real tendency, and he's gotten more of them each year he's been here, of getting unsportsmanlike conduct type penalties that are after the play, off the ball. And so when you see him doing stuff like that in practice, if it's other guys, you're like, they'll get this buttoned up. When you see DK doing it, you're like, man, are we in for another one of these years?
Right, exactly. Yeah, Smokin, Jim, any questions for Bo?
Yeah, Bo. Man, I think we're all Seattle Seahawks, even though the Steelers beat them in the Super Bowl one year. Man, I always liked Seattle, and always loved the fans. Little surprised you gave up on your Hall of Fame quarterback. Do you guys miss him, Russell Wilson, at all, or was it time for you guys to divorce one another?
Yeah, so that came a year later than it should have, actually. So the problem is Russ, he had a personality change, and it's something that I've said on other shows as well, is we've seen this movie before in Seattle, right?
Right.
A guy says he wants to be here and then chases the money. A-Rod was a prime example of that. He signs a $212 million deal to go to the Rangers, right? So nobody's sad about it because he was like, oh, I want to be in Seattle forever. It's happening, Chad. I want to be in Seattle forever. I want to take a home deal, all of that. And then it wasn't 3 weeks later, he's forcing his way out of Seattle. Well, that rubs you wrong, right? Yeah. And the comparison that I make is if you're upfront about it, right? If you're just like, hey, I want a new deal, I want the money. Nobody's going to fault you for that, right? If you try and make yourself the good guy and then do that, that's the problem. So the comparison I make is Tiger Woods, right? He built a career on trying to be the good guy and put out that persona, and then he gets caught with every girl that's ever passed him by, and it rubs everyone the wrong way. Whereas on the other end of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On the other end of that, when you see Charlie Sheen with hookers and blow, you're like,
Yeah, you don't worry about that stuff, but when you see,
so just stay true to who you are. That's really all I care about. And if he would have done that, if he would have just been upfront with, hey, I want to chase the money, everybody been like, okay, fair enough, it's a job, right? Like if you were offered way more money to go to a company across the street, nobody's going to feel mad that you went. They'd be like, yeah. So, but you got to be upfront about it. So no, nobody here is sad that he's gone.
Well, like the late Rodney Dangerfield always says, always look out for number one, but never step to number two. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you always got to look out for number one. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, Chad here says, Brad would you like to have Russell Wilson back in Seattle?
So much.
No.
Well, I mean, it was actually really great to see him go and then just get decimated in Denver.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was sad what happened there, but now we have him here in Pittsburgh, and we only got him for $1 million for probably one season, unless he decides to sign with us. But I don't know if we can pay him. And we have Justin Fields backing him up, so we're going to see where that goes. And Kenny Pickett's third string in Philadelphia, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean that one makes sense. But so you have Wilson and Fields, which is unique to say the least. Wilson is definitely the better thrower of the ball of the two. But and since you guys are Pittsburgh guys, wouldn't you rather see Fields? Because the odds of you being able to keep him versus keep Wilson is much higher.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It is. Absolutely. Oh, you know it. Smokin' Jim, Bo, hang on 1 second.
Yep. Exactly. Not any day do we want Russell Wilson back in Seattle. Yeah, I mean, definitely not. The only thing I can say about Russ is after he retires, he will still get his number in the Ring of Honor in the stadium. Because whether you like him now or not, he is still the guy that got us a ring here. So. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. He was the one. Well, yeah, he got you one ring and then he lost one. So that was, the thing with Russell Wilson there, and, what's your thoughts on, and I know you guys have really gone bananas there as well, the loss of Dave Canales, helping Geno Smith out. What's Geno Smith looking like this year without Dave Canales and all that being there?
Geno's looked sharp. So One of the things that's been really funny is there's been a lot of talk about people thinking Sam Howell's going to take Geno's job. And
there's no way.
There is zero chance. There is zero chance. So
he was drafted late.
I like Sam Howell now.
I like him too, Smokin' Jim, but the fact of the reality is he was drafted in the 6th round, and here we are, So we'll see where he does.
The thing is so watching him in practice, there is a sizable drop-off between the skill set of Geno and Sam Howell. And we're watching Sam sail balls against no defense. Right. We're watching them in practice. They're not allowed to hit each other. In fact, there's no danger of getting hit. It's practice, right? You're a red shirt, stay away from me kind of guy. And so even the short passes are off target. And so if it's a timing issue, I don't have a problem with it, right? That comes with reps. That's cool. But if you are having a hard time completing passes against no defense, that lets you know where your gap is, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's not even a scheme thing, right? That's you're literally out there for practice. You're running a route tree. There's no reason to miss those throws.
Exactly. Bo, thank you for joining us today. I would like to speak more with you today, but I have other guests waiting. I have a guy here that's coming on to talk about high school football, and then I have a guy that's in a waiting room right now for 5 o'clock talking about Green Bay Packers. So, Bo, thank you for being part of the show for the little time you were on here. We hope to have you on again. Smokin' Jim, you have any final things for Bo?
Yeah, good luck to the Seattle Seahawks, man. It was an honor to meet you, Bo.
All right.
Thanks again for having me on, guys. Take it easy.
You're welcome, Bo. Thank you. That was Bo Crouch, who covers the Seattle Seahawks It was great to have him on today. All right, next, we're going to go to our next guest here. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, they're our studio sponsor. And this guest is brought to you by the original hometown Pizza Moon Township, right on University Boulevard, 412-264-4444. Call them today. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. You'll get a discount on your order. Tuesday is Double Stack Tuesday. You get 2 pizzas for the price of 1. Call them today. Eat in, takeout, or delivery. 412-264-4444, the original hometown pizza. All right, our next guest is Ed NICOLA. Ed, welcome to the program.
Hey, Ralph. Thanks for having me. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really good, thank you. Ed, thanks for being on here today to talk with us about local high school football. I'm going to let you get started. Smokin Jim, say hello to Ed.
Hey, what's happening, Ed?
All right.
How are you, buddy?
All right. Anyway, Ed, go ahead. Tell us who's hot, who's not this year. Who do you think might make it to the championship, and how the seasons and all that. And I know, about Jerry Hazlitt passing with Alderdice is going to. Let's hope that this year that they decide to, win it for him this year. Your thoughts on all this, Ed?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Rest in peace for Jerry. I actually played against Jerry when I was in high school. He was playing at Northgate. I was playing at Brentwood. And heck of a player at Clarion, and football family there. All my best goes out to the Alderdice community. Absolutely. Now I got 15 minutes, so I'll just quick review of what happened last year. The Whitfield champs, North Allegheny in 6A, Peters in 5A, Aliquippa in 4A, Bell Vernon in 3A. 2A was Beaver Falls as a 10 seed, surprising number 1 seed Steel Valley in a memorable 14-12 final before losing to Westinghouse, who lost for the second straight year in the state final, but they lost on a controversial, they had a strip sack, and then there was a penalty defensive holding, so it was brought up, it was on a 4th and 18, and then Southern got the first down and ended up driving 99 yards to edge Westinghouse. So they really have a chip on the shoulder of the house in the City League, and they dropped the 1A this year for enrollment. So they're the preseason number 1 in Class A this year out of the Pittsburgh City League, and could play our Whitfield teams. They're on the other side of the bracket at state. So that's something to look forward to. Fort Cherry was the champs in A last year from the Whitfield. Now moving on to this year. Really thought they're just want to start out by saying there's a lot of super softs. We had a lot of freshmen who came in ready to play last year, contributors with the AAU stuff, the 7-on-7s, the ball skills, more than I've ever seen in a long time around here, maybe ever. There are at least a dozen of them, and they will stand out in a lot of the teams this year. Starting out in 6A with the big boys, NA and PCC will both be rebuilding, but should have very good teams. Everybody's chasing St. Joe's Prep at the state level. They've won 3 in a row. Tony Sacca, former PSU quarterback, his son Anthony's a leader there. He's a linebacker. Imhotep and Harrisburg, people think will give them the best run for the money, but probably NA or PCC coming out of the Whitfield. We don't have a lot of teams there, so getting right to 5A. Peters Township is the defending Whitfield champ. They're also the preseason number 1 in the Whitfield, number 2 in the state. They were runner-up to Imhotep last year. Will they be the best team in the state? They got a shot. They got a lot of guys back. They're also the Whitfield favorite, but they might not be the best team just in the Route 19 corridor, because Upper St. Clair got a lot of kids back. Bethel will challenge behind Ryan Petrus, explosive player. They got a lot of kids back. Latrobe moves up from 4A. They battled Aliquippa in 4A last year. They got a highly recruited linebacker, Alex Tatch. They move up to 5A. Penn Trafford has a super soft Ben Grabowski, and they'll be a good program. Pine Richland, also some super softs. Reloading. Woody High, people are high on. Gateway got to take a shot to Jim. No more Brad Birch era. No more pressure on Gateway, so maybe they can do some things. They got some athletes and everything. There won't be any hype for them, preseason hype, so maybe they'll surprise somebody. Going down to 4A, you guys probably know about all the publicized stuff with Aliquippa, battle with the PIAA. Should they move up to 4A, 5A? There's an injunction, so they get to play in 4A again. Whitfield and state champs last year, probably the best team they've ever had. They're the favorite to win both this year, but I don't think it will be as easy. It'll be a battle. They got Tyke Hayes, top running back in the state, coming back, but they lost Cameron Lindsay, who's now Pitt. All-time passing leader Quentin Good, John Tracy, who was a great complimentary back. His first couple steps just lightning. Jace Williams, underrated, under-recruited player, wreaked havoc on the lines. So Aliquippa has to rebuild, but they're still the favorite. McKeesport will be chasing them in 4A in the Whitfield. You got Boyd, and Spell. Still, Boyd and Spell are there. Not Bobby. Bobby Boyd is in college. Keith Spell, the big back's in college. But Anthony Boyd and Keemon Spell, another super soft, will be leading McKeesport. Thomas Jefferson, still TJ. They gave BVA their their only loss last year. Great BVA team that was a 3A state champ. TJ will be strong in 4A. Mars with Coach Casper. You got a good senior quarterback, Luke Goodworth, back. And Casper's a great coach. Mars will be tough. BVA moves up to 4A after winning the last 2 state championships. With Matt Humbert, look for a good team there. They're rebuilding. They lost a lot of kids, but they'll still be tough. In 3A, Bell Vernon and Central Valley switch. Central Valley had won 2 states in a row, moved up to 4A. Bell Vernon dropped down from 4A to 3A in their enrollment, won 2 states in a row. Now they switch again. Bell Vernon goes up, Central Valley goes down. Central Valley is the preseason number 1 in both the Whitfield and state. Behind super soft Chance Henry, he's a beast. He's also a top wrestler, and they got a lot of tough team around them. They're the favorite, but Elizabeth Forward will challenge. You got a lot of kids back. Good program there. Same with Beaver, Avonworth as well. Avonworth has another super soft, Dimitri Belseris, who's a very strong runner. So I look for that to be a good race. But CV is the team to beat, Central Valley. In 2A, Steel Valley is really, chip on the shoulder after losing 14-12 as the 1 seed. They return to Barksdale brothers. Donald Barksdale is actually a younger brother of Dwayne Murray, their all-time leading rusher, who was on the state championship Steel Valley team in 2016. Barksdale's poised to break all his records. He had over 2,000 yards rushing last year, 37 touchdowns. That's Donald Barksdale, a senior. His brother, teammate Deron Barksdale, is a talented junior defensive back and wide receiver who has offers. And look for them to lead Steel Valley, who's the favorite in the Whitfield and Double A. Everyone's chasing Southern Columbia statewide with them winning 7 in a row, 14 overall state championships. But they look vulnerable this year, so maybe something can happen there with one of the Whitfield teams. In 2A also, like Wash High, Beaver Falls, always teams to watch. Everyone's keeping a special eye on Elwood City this year. Haven't had too many real good teams lately, but they had a playoff team last year, and they got everybody back. They've been tying these kids that were good at the youth level. They got a well-rounded team. They get basically the entire team back, and they'll be a year more experienced and expect big things there. And then in 1A, Westinghouse dropping down from 2A after being state runner-up 2 years in a row is the preseason number 1 team in our state. In 1A, within the Whitfield, Fort Cherry, the defending champ, they have Matt Sig, maybe the best junior in all of PA, quarterback, safety, athlete. He's leading the way. They're going to rebuild. They lose some linemen, but they will be very strong in the Whitfield. Clareton's on the rise. The Shannock drops down from 2A. They're also a team to watch. Canavan also should rebuild strongly behind senior quarterback Cole Shevsky and some breakout talent coming up. And it's all looking to be an exciting year. Last year was kind of different. Like, everyone knew who the top teams in the Whitfield State were automatically at the beginning. They were just far ahead of everybody else. So it was no real surprise. This year, there's some races where you can't look and say, oh, they're going to win states, no doubt about it. There should be some teams in the mix that might surprise somebody. So that'll make it exciting.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ed. Smokin' Jim, you have any questions for Ed?
Yeah, Ed, just one question. In 3A, there's a talented team, Marnie Christian Academy. Have you taken a look at them?
He was asking about a Marnie Christian. Ed.
I had a little trouble. I brought it up on the monitor. Yes, absolutely. Yes, Monty Christian has a lot of position talent. Position for position, they're one of the most talented teams around. They chose to play up 2 classes. And I look for big things from them. They have an interesting scrimmage coming up. I believe Farrell, Canavan, and Amani will be scrimmaging. That's Amani playing up into 3A. Canavan 1A enrollment's one of the best teams in the state. They're an elite program. You have Farrell, who's 1A as well, who's bumped up a class into 2A. They've been forced up. So you have 3 small schools there that have a lot of recruited position talent from the camps and everything like that. I think that'll be an interesting display of talent in that scrimmage. I believe it's this week on the 17th, and coming up in a few days. And I think Amani will do very well in 3A. A lot of people think, will they have enough on the lines and everything? I think they're going to do really well. They do have a tough schedule, and it'll be interesting to see. Early on, they played Beaver. I believe it's a third game because people were just asking me about Amani. The first couple games will be a test. Beaver Falls, and I forget who the other game was. And then that third week especially against Beaver, who's state ranked in 3A, will be a test to see if Amani is going to be elite in 3A or just maybe like a talented squad recruits-wise that still has a little bit of work to do in certain slots on the field. But I expect them to do well. I expect them to do well. Should be some exciting things happening there. Between Amani and the Haas, the East End has some real excitement. I mean, with Westinghouse, you have Dante Green's one of the best coaches around. In fact, if Westinghouse gets gold this year, it's going to be all about the Greens. You have Dante Green, the head coach, and you have Khalil Green, senior quarterback, the team leader. They get young talent around them, but those two guys, you got one of the most underrated coaches. He's like 52-8, doing a great job at Westinghouse, and you have a coach on the field in Khalil Green steering that ship at Westinghouse, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So a lot of exciting things happen in the East Hills of Pittsburgh, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Ed, for joining us here on the program today. And we hope to have you back on again next year to talk about high school football. Maybe we'll have you come on during the playoffs to talk a little bit about what's going on with the playoff race. Thanks, Ed.
Okay. Well, you're very welcome, Ralph, and Smokin' Jim. Great being here. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you, Ed. All right. Smokin' Jim, you have anything to say to Ed before he goes?
Man, great job. Great job. Great information, Ed. You are the best, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Ed. And you have yourself a great day, Ed. Thank you. All right. That was Ed NICOLA, who covers high school football for Western Pennsylvania. And it was nice to have him on here today to talk about the high school football scene and football. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts on Ed?
Well, you can tell how knowledgeable he was because he said Gateway had a chance to win it all. So.
Yeah, for the first time in a while, huh? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. I tell you what, we're gonna not go to a break because we have our next guest on. Ken, is it Catalone or Catalone?
Catalone.
Catalone. Okay, Ken. Ken and I are on with Jeremy Ballrick on Wednesday nights at 9:00 on the Lions Talk network and the Kneecap Biting Network, and we're on there. We talk about football. It's a football roundtable. It's great. Check it out. I will be on next Wednesday, despite the fact, or this Wednesday and next Wednesday, despite the fact I'll be in Erie, but I will be on. So to join you guys as well. All right. Ken is brought to you today in part by Alex's Flowers, 412-661-6071. Call Alex today. He has all the best flower arrangements for anything you need, wedding, funeral, or just for your sweetheart. If you need flowers, a dozen roses, I tell you what, this guy delivers. And not only does he deliver in service, but he delivers in quality. So don't forget Alex's Flowers. Call him today, 412-661-6071. Today's guest is brought to you by Alex's Flowers. All right. Smokin' Jim, say hello to Ken.
Hey, Ken, what's happening?
All right. Smokin' Jim. All right. The reason Smokin' Jim's by phone, Ken, he does a TV show right afterwards. So it's easier for him to be on the phone than it is to come on, on here. Ken covers the Green Bay Packers. You have your own podcast, right, Ken?
Yep. We run Ken and Ken in the morning every weekday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Okay. Ken, tell us a little bit about what's going on with Green Bay this year. I know the Jordan Love contract is the biggest talk so far in Green Bay. What else can you tell us about Green Bay this year?
There's a massive change going on with the defense. We have finally switched coordinators. Yes. So far, the return on this coordinator from the ways the guys have been talking him up during practice, OTAs, all that stuff has been outstanding. Everybody seems to be bought in. And then with this last preseason game, a lot of these guys actually showed out playing, especially Van Ness, which last year he was good, but you kept thinking that he was ready to take that next step, but wasn't given the opportunity.
All right. I know there's a lot of hype around Jordan Love, for another season and everything else. Does he have what do you think Green Bay can actually get back to this because to the playoffs? Because Let me say this: J.J. McCarthy's hurt. I don't see Minnesota doing anything. The Bears, they stink. Even with Khalib Williams, and so I think you guys can take it again this year. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
believe that.
Absolutely. It's going to be a dogfight this year for the division between the Detroit Lions and Green Bay.
Oh, and the Lions. I forgot about the Lions. Yeah, the Lions as well. I mean,
Yeah, no matter who wins,
yeah,
no matter who wins the division, I see both of us going to the playoffs this year.
Right, exactly. Just like you did last year, and Detroit came out on top. Smokin Jim, my co-host here, says that there's still the Bobby Lane curse up here in Detroit. Smokin Jim, you have any questions for Ken?
Yeah, Ken. How do you guys do it? 3 probably Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks, at least 2 Hall of Famers, and now Jordan Love. How do you guys keep drafting great quarterbacks the way you do?
Well, a lot of it has to do with we are willing to take quarterbacks that need development for a couple of years and just stash them on the bench and practice field for a while and let them grow up. Because Rodgers, he might have been highly touted, but there was a lot about his game that people used to gripe about, especially since he used to hold the ball so high coming out of Cal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, then Jordan Love, they had knocked him for his decision-making. And given these guys these couple of years has massively helped. And then with us having an ace in the hole of a quarterback's coach, Tom Clements, that's what I think is the major thing, because he not only has developed Jordan Love, but he was the one to develop Aaron Rodgers too.
Yeah, Tom Clements is a really good coach.
Oh,
he really is. I'm sorry, get Smokin Jim.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Ralph. You probably do, but Tommy Clements, not only is he from Pittsburgh and played at Notre Dame, but he was the last high school athlete in Western Pennsylvania to be parade All-American in basketball and parade All-American in football. Very intelligent. I always thought he'd be a head coach, but I'm glad to hear that Tommy Clements.
Hey, I am quite happy that he's a quarterback's coach, because he's been the best one we ever could have dreamed of.
Hey, you guys have had some Pittsburghers up. You had Luke Getzey up there for a little while too. Luke's from Pitt, played for the Panthers, and he's from Bell Vernon. I mean, you guys. Really
Getzey, I didn't actually mind too much. He wasn't bad. It's just I don't know if he's a coordinator, because we saw how it worked out in Chicago for him. He's out in Vegas this year, so we'll see if it was just that Chicago's so bad they ruin everybody.
I think it was. I don't think you could be any good coach, because Chicago just doesn't have the talent, and it makes the stupidest mistakes in the world. And you and I have had this. We had this discussion last Wednesday on the football roundtable. We're always talking about how bad the Bears are, because the Bears come up all the time, and whatnot. Now it's preseason. I get it. How are your draft picks looking for Green Bay this year?
Oh, most of our draft picks are looking really good, especially the safeties that we drafted between Evan Williams and Javon Bullard. Those 2 guys look outstanding. I'm expecting Bullard to get the start, but Evan's pushing for some playing time too. Marshawn Lloyd was looking good, but he has a hamstring injury and is going to be held out of practice for a while. And then there's Morgan, the offensive lineman we took in the first round.
You're right.
He hasn't been great at tackle, so we have moved him to guard, which I'm totally fine with putting a late first rounder in as a guard if he can play good. It's just he's also coming off of injury too, but today he's finally coming back on a limited basis. So that's at least some good news with him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Smokin Jim, any more questions for Ken? Excuse me.
Yeah, I do, Ken. I tell you what, do you think that wide receiver Christian Watson is ready to have a breakout year this year?
Oh, I'm really hoping so, because he's got a lot of he's one of those guys that if he can just get it all together, that he's going to be an absolute monster. Because we saw the second half of his rookie year how he went off. It's not only does he have the injuries with the hamstrings, which is supposedly fixed by now, and if it is, awesome. My biggest gripe with him, when he goes to catch the ball, he just waits for it to come to him instead of being aggressive and pulling it out of the air. And he loses a lot of contested catches that way. So I don't know how much they're going to be putting faith into him besides only a deep threat. Because you got all these other guys stepping up, like Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, and even Grant Dubois was having a hell of a game. Granted, preseason, but he's got himself in the conversation for a roster spot.
All right, that's great. Kent, who do you think your camp phenom is this year? Is there somebody on the team? And we always do this here. Camp phenom, I always have one. My camp phenom just went bye-byes because he got hurt and they put him on injured reserve for the year. So who's your camp phenom? Somebody who you really don't think could make the team, but just might because they're that good.
Okay, if we're talking about somebody that might make the team and is on the bubble, I gotta actually go with Grant Dubois because a lot of us Packers fans really thought that he was going to be a practice squad guy, that, he's got some talent, but it's just some. If he has another game like he did this last game, he's earned himself a spot at that last receiver spot. But if we're talking just in general who had an outstanding camp, is another young guy is our rookie Edrin Cooper, the linebacker. Right now he's out with an injured groin, but he was so disruptive in camp. Matt LaFleur had to go up to the defensive coaches and ask them if he gave them the play script or if they gave him the play script because of how bad he was disrupting everything. So I massively can't wait to see him out there.
All right, let's see what we got here. We got this guy here. I'm gonna knock that out of there. He pops up every once in a while about cheap viewers and all that stuff. I don't know what that's all about. And I don't care at this point. But anyway, so tell us a little bit about your podcast. I know what night is it, or when's it on again? I'm sorry. Where were you?
I do a few podcasts on football. In the mornings for the weekdays, it is Ken and Ken in the morning, where it's pretty much a full football show about the whole NFL, not really too team specific, but we do gear a little bit towards Packers and Bears because that's what the two co-hosts are.
Oh
yeah. It definitely makes for an interesting show, especially between my two co-hosts, Rob the Packer fan and Ken the Bears fan. But that one's in the morning at 10 a.m. Central every weekday. And then Monday and Friday nights at 7 Central, we have the Frozen Tundra Network, which is a Packers podcast on its own.
Wow, that's great, man. That's great to hear that you got some podcasts going there, and you cover Green Bay very well. And
thank you.
I know because I hear you when we're on together on the Wednesday night football roundtable. It's great that you cover the Packers. I've been looking for someone to come on that covers the Packers. I had someone else in mind, but they work at this time and they can't get on here. Mm-hmm. And then I had someone else I try to reach out to who has this thing that not to return my phone calls and emails, and then says he's too busy, but then he's on Facebook talking about his birthday. But then but he's too busy to call me and say, "Hey, look, I can't be on" or whatever. So I ditched him as well. So, and then I'm glad that you're able to be on here today. Smokin, Jim, you have any final questions for Ken?
Hey, great job, Ken, and the pack is back, man.
Oh, absolutely. All you need is love.
I like that one. That's a good one. Ken, thanks for being on the program today. And I'll be talking with you tomorrow night at 9:00 on the football roundtable. Ken Carter, how is it pronounced again? I'm sorry, Ken.
Catalone. Think of it like
Catalone.
leave the cat alone.
Oh, okay. Ken Catalone.
Yep.
All right, who covers Green Bay very well, and he has a couple podcasts, and tune into those if you're a Packers fan. Have yourself a great one, Ken. Thank you for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you. All right, Ken. That was Ken Cartalone, who was here to talk with us about the Green Bay Packers in our 32-team quest to have everyone come on and talk about all 32 teams. So I'm still working on a few more, Dallas, Minnesota, and a few other ones as well. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts on Green Bay?
Well, I took a lot of heat last year. I think we were on with Luther, I believe, or it might have been your radio show, but we rated, I believe, the quarterbacks, and I had Jordan Love as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and everybody jumped on me, said I was crazy, this, that, and the other thing, and by the end of the year, he's maybe the best quarterback in all of football, getting ready to sign a huge contract. And if he stays healthy, he's a Hall of Famer, man.
Oh, yeah. Like Ken said, Green Bay has this thing about, sitting guys down and letting them learn. And, by Jordan Love sitting there learning,
that's crazy.
That's crazy. It is. Crazy. But I mean, it is. Look at the results of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'd have been the same results if they'd have started as rookies.
Yeah.
Look at Brett. They didn't teach Brett Favre nothing. He came from Atlanta his second year.
Yes.
And when Matt Dukowski got hurt, Brett Favre stepped in there, and the rest is history. It's because they have the luxury of doing that. Because they draft them early, and the other quarterbacks are still the
on
starters.
The team.
So,
Right.
Yeah. So
he was able to sit behind a guy who was a well-known veteran who was able to. Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Just like Ben. Remember when Ben said about Mason Rudolph when he got drafted, they said, "Are you going to help Mason Rudolph?" He says, "I'm a quarterback, not a coach."
Most of these guys are not mentors. They're tour mentors.
They're tour mentors.
And that does more harm than good. But I'm glad Tommy Clemens is out there. I always thought the Steelers did him rotten. I thought he could have been a head coach in this league. Very smart, Notre Dame.
Yes. Very smart
Bishop
guy.
Bishop Boyle High School, the whole bit, man. So I'm glad he's still doing well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. He was one of the best quarterbacks
I do remember that. Yes.
Canadian football,
Yes. Okay, Smokin' Jim, let's move on here a little bit today. This next segment here is brought to you by Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Robin Campbell. Call Robin Campbell today, because I'll tell you what, he has the best in Farmers and Bristol West Insurance, auto, home, fire, any kind of insurance you need, life insurance. He has it all. Call Robin Campbell today at 412-366-3399. All right, Smokin' Jim, let's talk a little bit about Pitt real fast here, and then we're going to get into some national news, because I got some stuff for you that you're not going to believe. Wait till you hear this one. All right. Pitt football, August 31st is the first game. They play Kent State, and at Acrisure Stadium, Donovan McMillan named Renaric watch list, and then Gavin Bartholomew is on the Mackey watch list, and Deion Sanders thanking Pitt for his 2 new members. Your thoughts on Pitt and Deion Sanders, Smokin' Jim? You there, Smokin' Jim?
Yeah, Narduzzi shot off his mouth last year.
I remember.
And kicked the bear. I mean, you don't kick Deion Sanders, man. He's just too media savvy. He's going to come after you. And he got the ammunition and the clout to do it. I think Pitt's going to take it on the chin this year. I think that their offense got a chance to be exciting. That's one good thing. But I don't think that the defense is going to hold up. I don't think Narduzzi should have got the extension that he did. And the schedule is just brutal, man. And Pitt, remember at one time they were talking about Pitt maybe dropping down to 1AA.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden their schedule, it's just too tough. I think they're going to get and they don't have much of a home field advantage. I mean, very few games do they get a sellout crowd? Usually it's about 10,000, 12,000
Yeah.
people. So
Oh, yeah.
it ain't no home field advantage.
That's another reason why recruits don't come here. They want to be in front of crowds like Penn State gets, USC, Michigan, Ohio State, LSU, major college programs that sell out all the time. And let me say this, I don't want to hear nothing about City. I don't want to hear nothing about nothing. Cincinnati sells out all their games, okay?
Yes,
and Cincinnati's right in the heart of the city, okay? Just like Pitt, the Bearcats have the same thing, and they sell out all their games. Youngstown State sells out all their games. So I don't want to hear nothing about City and oh, you got pro teams. Cincinnati got pro teams.
Yeah.
Okay, the Bearcats sell out. Okay. All right. So there's no excuse for Pitt not to sell games out there. If they're that interested in the football program, then they would show up at the game. I don't care what kind of record they have. I've seen Penn State have the worst record, which isn't too often, obviously. But even when Bill O'Brien was there and they were on probation, they were still drawing fans. So, I mean, it's not like, you can't give up, that's the way college football is. And that's why Pitt is in the state that they're in right now. Okay. Pitt is having issues with recruiting, NIL, and everything else. They're a big mess. And the bottom line is Narduzzi's part of the problem with his arrogant attitude. Okay. That's the biggest problem. He walks around campus and he has this arrogant attitude. And, when he was under the gun, a few times for some stupid coaching decisions and some things that he did, like telling Kenny Pickett he should have played in that bowl game. Okay. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff that he's done over the years that is just, but then, the last 3 or 4 seasons, he's gotten lucky. And I've said this many times, it's better to be lucky than good. Okay. And, there were times Pitt wasn't good, but they got lucky. All right. Yeah. So I don't think you're right. I agree. Narduzzi shouldn't have got that extension, but I will say this, the alum is starting to step up. I'm hearing this could be the season that he might get fired. If he loses like he did last year, he could get fired because, they're frustrated over there now with this after last season's 3-9 and his arrogant attitude and everything about things and some of the things that went on. And, how do you lose to Cincinnati when they just lost their coach and they lost all their recruits because they went with the coach to Wisconsin? How in the world do you lose to Cincinnati? And then they got beaten real bad down in West Virginia. I mean, it was horrible. That game was bad. And it was just teams that they should have beat, they lost to. It was just bad. It was but they did beat Louisville. Now, see, the one thing I'll give Narduzzi credit for, he beats teams, some of the more like Clemson. Well, there was a couple times when Pitt was so bad, but then they beat Clemson. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But you have to be consistent. You can't, I'm interested to see what the score is going to be against Kent State. Kent State stinks. And we're going to find out what this go offense is made of. And you're right about one thing. Okay. First of all, Cade Bell's from an FBS school. He's not from, one of the major universities. Okay. But his offense is a go offense, which is what Brendan Marin wanted to run when he was here. And Narduzzi didn't give him the job. Instead, he brought in Frank Signetti. And once again, what happened? We didn't have the athletes to run the offense. Okay. Yes, now this year we're in the same boat. No matter how you sugarcoat it, okay, it's still the same. Once a duck, it quacks like a duck. What is it? A duck. Am I right? So it's a duck. They don't have the talent right now. It's going to take 3 or 4 years to get that kind of talent for that go offense. And if they keep getting 2 and 3 star athletes instead of 4 and 5 star or more athletes, they're really going to be in trouble. And when this realignment comes with conferences, Pitt's going to be they may be in Division II.
Hey, Ralph.
Yes.
Hey, you said Deion Sanders said something. What did he say?
Well, I mean, he said thank you for the 2 players that you sent my way. Deion Hayes. Yeah. Yeah.
Shots fired.
I read the statement. I mean, but again, like you said, Narduzzi shouldn't have said anything anyway, because who is he to say something about Deion Sanders? Yeah, he's not that. He had a bad year last year. I mean, and so did Deion Sanders. but we don't know
Right.
what Deion Sanders is capable of this year until we find out, because they moved into a tougher conference this year. Okay,
Wow.
all right, they're in the Big 12 now. So I mean, you know, you're just not, you know, like you said, don't let the bear come out of hibernation. You know what I mean? Or you poke a stick at the hornet's nest and hope the hornets don't fly everywhere. You know what I mean? So, all right, the Riverhounds tied both the last 2 weeks. Smoking Jim, they've tied 0-0,
Wow.
but at least they didn't lose. Okay, and again, as Matt Grubbs has said, they haven't been blown out. So that's good news. But it's not good news when you tie, and it's not good news when you lose. Their record is currently 6-9-9 with 27 points. They play Colorado Springs at Colorado Springs this Saturday. They tied both San Antonio and Detroit this weekend. Your thoughts on the Riverhounds real quick, and we're going into some national NFL news and a UFL story I read today that I want to talk about. So go ahead.
The good thing I can say about the Riverhounds is they put a lot of money in their program. They put a lot of money into the facilities, and the fans just love soccer in this town. So hopefully next year they can get back to the championship level.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they go out and get some players and really get into, some of this stuff as well. And all right, Smoking Jim, let's get started with some NFL news real quick. We got about 8 minutes before we start Wrestle Talk. Lots to talk about today. We have 2 pay-per-views coming up before I go on vacation. We have the we have AEWs coming up on the 25th, which is a Sunday, and then on the 31st, when I come back from my trip, we have the Clash of or the Bash in Berlin coming up as well. So that's what. Oh man, I still can't get this one. Oh well. I'm just my phone just went dead, Smoking Jim. My phone, and I was waiting to hear back from Bubba because I wanted to try to have him come on and promote his wrestling program, but we're going to do that anyway here, so it doesn't make any difference anyhow. But I wanted to see if I can get him and Dan on together because the both of them have shows the same day. So but we're still going to promote their shows anyway, so it doesn't make any difference how that works. All right, let's get started here. This segment here is brought to you by Bon Journey, Bon Jovi Journey Tribute Band, August 31st, McKeesport Music Festival, 7 to 9 p.m. And also we're sponsored here today for this segment also is Fold and Travel Mobility. Do you need a folding power wheelchair to put in your car and your handicap as I am? Call them today, 1-877-GOT-FOLD or foldandtravelmobility.com. All right. NFL news, Smoking Jim. Buffalo Bills signed former Pitt quarterback, and the Steelers worked him out, but he didn't make the bacon here, I guess. And James Madison, University player, and Pine Richland grad, Ben DiNucci. And they have signed him to a contract. The Bills, Chase Claypool, guess what, was put on IR, Smoking Jim. He has himself a toe injury. So he's on IR. He has a toe injury. So Washington Redskins signed, you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Martavius Bryant.
Wow.
Martavius Bryant. Washington Commanders signed Martavius Bryant. That was the news I was holding back for you, was that they signed Martavius back in the NFL for the first time since 2018. So J.J. McCarthy from the Minnesota Vikings and former Michigan quarterback and their number 1 draft pick is going to have to undergo surgery for a meniscus tear or meniscus in his tear in his knee. His status is unknown at this time. Beyond this, Hassan Reddick is requesting a trade from the Jets. Your thoughts on this NFL news, Smoking Jim?
Oh man, it's real good. I'm happy for Martavius Bryant. I don't know if he'll make the team, but I think he played in the UXL.
Yeah, he played for the Vegas Vipers, and I think he played for one other team. I can't remember which one. Arlington, I think, or St. Louis. He played for one of them teams last year. So,
But had,
you know.
had all the talent in the world, just couldn't give up that weed.
The Ricky Williams syndrome, huh?
Yeah. You know,
Oh,
I was wrong. You know, we don't mind admitting when we're wrong. I was wrong with Chase Claypool. You know, after his rookie year, he had 11 touchdowns as a rookie.
and
Looked like
Luther
he was going to
makes
be a
you eat that
superstar.
every time.
Yeah, yeah.
Luther
That's the
brings
only
it up
one he
every
can make
time.
me.
You know.
That's the only he does that because that's the only one he can make me eat. And
He was wrong on
but
Kenny Pickett, third string quarterback for Philly now.
well, we'd be here all day if we talk about things that Luther got wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, now the toe injury is on injured reserve. He may be out for the year, so
Yeah.
I think this is his last go round. And you know, so
I think he needs to take
and,
a look at the UFL.
and I never liked McCarthy. I didn't think he was a good quarterback at Michigan. I thought it was a reach. Him being a first round draft pick, I always said I wouldn't have drafted him in the 12th round draft. And now he's hurt. And I think that when he comes back next year, I don't think he'll play this year. I think when he comes back next year, Minnesota's going to realize that they made a huge mistake. Maybe that's why Jordan Addison is drinking so much. He's seen the way McCarthy throws.
Well, you know what? Mike McDonald up there, man, he's in, you know, he's under the hot seat on this. I mean, he drafted this guy, brought him in. They got rid of Kirk Cousins. So management's under the gun up there in Minnesota. I mean, you know, and, you know, when you bring in a guy like J.J. McCarthy and you get rid of a guy like Kirk Cousins because you didn't want to pay him, okay, you know, or whatever. And, you know, I guess they felt because he was hurt a lot too, okay. You know, you go and you make bad decisions. You know, we'll see what happens up there. He's under the gun right now. I mean, you know, 2 years ago when he took over as coach, they went to the playoffs. Last year they regressed, and you know, and whatnot. So you got Brian Flores up there waiting in the wings as their defensive coordinator. So
That's right. That's right.
you know, you never know. You know, I think Brian Flores will probably be the one disciple of Belichick that might make it as a head coach. Wouldn't you agree?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he was given his opportunity, which he was in Miami, but look what he had down there. I mean, come on, he didn't. You know, he's fighting with management.
They're doing good now.
Yeah.
Doing good
Oh yeah.
now, so.
Yeah. With Mike McDaniels down there. Yeah, they're doing real good. Yeah. All right, UFL. Listen to this one. USWA or USW is deciding to maybe dissolve themselves from the UFL. They're the UFL union representative. They're the because the UFL was the USFL was a union. The XFL was not a union. So when they merged, I guess they decided to keep the union running or whatever and not break it. But I guess the USW is saying, look, the United Steelworkers of America is saying, hey, look, you know, something's not right here with this contract or whatever. And they're talking about pulling away. So, you know, that could happen. So, Smokin' Jim, your thoughts on the UFL here with this?
Well, hopefully we can continue spring football. It gives a lot of guys an opportunity to continue playing professionally. We just had Bo on. Look what he's done in arena football. You know what I mean? I mean, he didn't make much money.
No.
But he got to continue to play the game he loves.
How about Tommy Maddox? How about Kurt Warner? I could name you a bunch of guys that made their reappearance in the NFL because of arena football. You know,
You're right.
I mean, you know, Tommy Maddox said if it wasn't for arena football, he wouldn't have been back because Tommy Maddox was overrated and he was drafted #1 by the Denver Broncos. Yeah, right. You know. All right, Smokin' Jim, we're going to get started here as soon as we come back from a break. We're going to get started with our wrestling segment. We have a lot to talk about. 2 pay-per-views coming up, AEW, WWE. We'll talk a little bit about Raw last night, some stuff coming up. Randy Orton versus Gunther in the Bash at Berlin, and a whole lot more all coming up right after these words. Ralph Williams here today to talk to you about Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. Allied Powers Wrestling Federation is a great independent wrestling company owned by promoter Bubba Brewer, who has been on Wrestle Talk shows with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin' Jim Frazier. Well, their next event is coming up August 24th at the Castle in Johnstown. For some great independent professional wrestling, come on August 24th, bell time 7 p.m. Get your tickets on AlliedPowersWrestlingFederation.com. And please don't forget, Sports Corner show with Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier is a sponsor of all Allied Wrestling Federation events, and also will be at this event as well as all of Allied Powers Wrestling Federation events. Go head out to Johnstown, to the Castle, August 24th, 7 p.m. bell time, Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. I'm here today to talk to you about Ballpark Wrestling. Ballpark Wrestling brought to you by the Pros of Wrestling. Saturday, August 24th, Pullman Park Stadium, 100 Pullman Park Place, Butler, Pennsylvania. For tickets, visit butlerbluesocks.org. Scan the barcode, and also call 412-335-1622 or at the Pros of Wrestling on Facebook. Meet and greet 6:30, bell time 7:30. The Ballpark Wrestling with the Pros of Wrestling. All right, that's Dan Polinsky's group there, the Pros of Wrestling. They're performing in Butler. At Butler, one of their ball fields there is called Ball Field Battle. And then don't forget about Bubba's the Allied Powers Wrestling at the Castle in Johnstown, August 24th, bell time 7 o'clock. Big Bill Collier will be in action again, and Henry Godwin will be there, a former WWE wrestler who I had the privilege, Smokin' Jim, of having in my cab when I drove a cab. Smokin' Jim.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's great.
Yeah,
you met a lot of the great ones, man.
Yes, I did. Fabulous Moolah. Paul Bear. I did meet The Undertaker, but I never had him in the cab. I met, I was working as a bellman at the airport Marriott, and I had the privilege of taking up Rey Mysterio and Batista's luggage.
How about China?
Who?
China.
China, no, I never had the privilege of meeting her.
Oh.
I did meet MJF and Cody Rhodes. I met Cody when I used to work security for ROH. And I had the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young in my cab. I took them down to the arena, the old Civic Arena when it was a Civic Arena. So, I've had my fair share of meet and greets with wrestlers. So there you are, so I've got to meet the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and MJF and a bunch of guys, because Frankie Kazarian, a bunch, just a whole. I got to meet Bully Ray. I got to meet. It was so nice when I used to do security down at Stage AE for ROH events when they used to be at Stage AE. So this Saturday, Smokin' Jim, I was over here in Allentown here. They had a little some kind of a festival. It's called the Hilltop County Fair, they call it. It's an indoor event. And what they do is they have vendors set up tables. You can buy a table and set it up. Enjoy Wrestling was there. I had the privilege of meeting Cowpoke Paul again, who we met in April down at the Allied Powers Wrestling show in April down in Indiana. We had the privilege of seeing there. I got the privilege of meeting him. And the matches were pretty decent. I got to see their tag team champions, and it was nice. I got to meet some of the, shake hands with some of the guys. One of the guys gave me their card, so we're going to include Enjoy Wrestling into our fold here a little bit as much as we can. They wrestle locally, mostly at Mr. Small's Theater, but they're going to be on the north side coming up in September for the north side fair over at the West Park over there on the north side by Allegheny General. They're going to be there for that. So that's coming up in September. Okay, Smokin' Jim, let's get to the real nitty gritty here. I was going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but I've condensed this a little bit because at 6 o'clock we're going to be on for an extra 15 minutes. Tad Jarvis is going to join us. I believe he will wrestles with Rise Wrestling. He's going to come on and join us, Smokin' Jim. So at 6 o'clock to accommodate him, we're going to be on till 6:15. If you can hang with us, I know you're under a tight schedule with Al Levine. So, all right, Smokin' Jim, WWE News. Randy Orton has signed a new contract, and it's looking like he's going to be on Raw. Raw's going to send an athlete or one of the wrestlers down to SmackDown to complete a trade. Randy Orton is getting his shot at Gunther because of the mishap that happened with the referee's count or something when they had their King of the Ring match. So he was promised by Adam Pearce or by the WWE that he would get a rematch with Gunther, and he asked for it now, and he's going after the championship. So we're going to see where that goes. Bronson Reed injures R-Truth with another series of tsunami bombs there, Smokin' Jim. Your thought on Bronson Reed and he's at it again.
Well, Randy Orton, he wasn't pinned when Gunther got him. His shoulders was clearly, not on the canvas.
Right.
But Bronson Reed, man, one, he went to Miz and said that he was going to wrestle Breaker for the title. And then they showed the picture. He said, "That's not Breaker, that's Bronson Reed." But he's out of control, man. I don't see anybody stopping him, man. And I tell you what, when he comes off, everybody gets out of the way, man. They don't even want to be. I felt bad for the Truth, man. But Bronson Reed, he's just a big boy, man, and he got the attitude right now, man. So he's putting people in the hospital each week.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you got Adam Pearce, poking him, and making him angry, So he told Adam Pearce, "Put me in the match, or I'll go make my own way." It's that simple. That's like us here. Either put me on the radio or I'll make my own way. If you're not going to put us on the radio, then guess what? We'll make our own way some other way.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. So and I don't blame him. And so Kevin Sullivan passed away, 72 years old last week. Your thoughts on Kevin Sullivan? Great booker with the WCW during the 90s in that fight with the WWE. He was the chief booker. He was the one who booked all the matches and worked hand in hand with Eric Bischoff and the officials with WCW. He wasn't a bad wrestler. I seen him in the WWE. Was going in the early 90s when he was going after Hulk Hogan and things like that. Your thoughts on Kevin Sullivan?
Man, what a great career he had, man. Prayers go out to his family.
Yes.
A lot of the wrestlers don't make it to I think he was 75.
Yeah, 72.
72. A lot of wrestlers don't make it that long, man. But
except Ric Flair.
Man, he just keeps going. He keeps going.
Yeah.
So, man, he enjoyed his professional career and post-professional career. Man, he stuck with wrestling, and he looked like he got a great family and everything, man. So, hey, rest in peace.
That was sad to see his sister get killed. She was married to Chris Benoit, and remember when Benoit killed his family?
Yeah,
that was his sister. She was married.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was a bad time for him as far as that goes. Last night's Raw, Judgment Day at it again. Last night, and now we have a mixed tag match for the Bash in Berlin with Damian Priest teaming up with Rhea Ripley against Liv Morgan and Dummy Dom. I'm going to call him Dummy Dom like Pat McAfee calls him because he's nothing but a dummy anyway. So, but anyhow, Dummy Dom. And I know who you're taking in this match. Probably Dummy Dom and Liv Morgan because you love Liv Morgan. But
how can you not know her, man?
Yeah. Well, you got two shysters together on one team, so that's interesting. So, and Judgment Day just keeps rolling on, doing their almighty thing there as well. I don't see them holding on to the tag team belts very, very long. If Jey Uso and Sami Zayn get together, I'm looking at that. Jay's been poking at Sami Zayn to team up with him. If this is the case, I'm just wondering if whether or not we're even going to see them involved in this bloodline civil war, because there's rumors going around that they're going to be involved in this bloodline civil war. I just read a report this week that Jimmy Uso is going to team up with Roman Reigns, and they're supposed to at some pay-per-view, one of the pay-per-views, team up together to go up against Soa Sikoa and Tama Tonga, because the other guy's not cleared to wrestle yet. He got that patch on his eye, Tongaloa, and what's his name? Fatu, Jacob Fatu. He's out with a knee injury. So it's it's going to be Solo and Tama Tonga versus the Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns. I heard that's coming, one of the pay-per-views, and then I heard the Survivor Series is supposed to be the Civil War match in a War Games thing. Your thoughts on this bloodline Civil War?
Well, if I was Roman Reigns, I would go after, is it Fontu, you said, that's out with the knee injury?
Yeah, Jacob Fatu, yes.
I would go after him. I think he is the key. He's unstoppable, man.
Yeah.
Whoever team he's on, man, this dude is a kamikaze. He don't care about his body. He's strong. He's agile. And I tell you what, man, whoever gets him will have an advantage in this bloodline war.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that could happen. And then if The Rock gets involved, we're going to see what side The Rock is on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hearing Rikishi's getting involved. This is, we're going to find out what happens. Rumors are out there. So we'll see how this goes with this bloodline match forthcoming. Braun Breaker won the 2 out of 3 fall match last night against Sami Zayn. I was shocked about that.
Was that brutal?
That brutal? That was. Yeah.
I want to hear your opinion. I thought that should have been on pay-per-view.
Yes, that was a pay-per-view match. Yes, it was. But you know what, though, Smokin' Jim? Lately, Raw's been kind of stinking up the joint a little bit. They really haven't been putting on any real glamorous matches. Seriously. You know what I mean? And I think they need to pick it up, and that match picked it up last night. I mean, it really did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I mean, when you come to think of it, Raw really hasn't, they've been kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit here. I was kind of surprised Drew McIntyre wasn't wrestling. And then when CM Punk lied and told Adam Pearce that he had issues with travel arrangements, and here he rode on the same flight with Madison Rayne. That woman that's in the back that interviews there, I forget her name. That's really Madison Rayne. She's a former wrestler who wrestled with TNA for many years. Okay. That's her real name. So, and she's married to Josh Matthews. That's who she's married to. The former announcer. Yeah, she's married to Josh Matthews. So I just wanted to let you know that one. Bastion Berlin, so far, 3 matches have been announced. Smokin' Jim, and we'll get your thoughts on them. It's 1:00 p.m. August 31st on Peacock. The match card goes for the first 3 matches. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Your thoughts on this match?
Cody. Woo, that's gonna be tough. 2 good friends.
Yeah.
Cody
I think Kevin
Cody
Owens
Rhodes
is going to turn. I think that's what I feel.
Okay. I don't think he'll beat Cody Rhodes this time out.
No, I don't think so either. If there's anybody that could beat Cody Rhodes, might be The Rock.
Yeah.
Or if Roman Reigns decides to get back into the title picture, it could be him too. But right now they're riding on Cody's coattails, so we're gonna let that go. Gunther versus Randy Orton. You think Randy's time now, or is Gunther gonna dominate again?
Gunther.
Yeah, I hate to do it. I love Randy Orton, but you know what? It's just Gunther's on a roll, man. That guy, he can wrestle. He's got it all, man. He's
when he talked about his grandfather.
Oh man, whoa! I tell you what, one thing you never do especially in wrestling, is talking about somebody's family. I mean, overall, you don't talk about somebody's family.
That
I mean,
was funny.
you
That
know,
was funny.
you really want to fight, you talk about somebody's family, you know.
Oh, that
But I
was
noticed
funny.
Gunther's been doing that. He's always talking about somebody's family, you know. So look what he did to Damian Priest. I mean, you know, so Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley versus Dummy Dom and Liv Morgan. The more matches are to be added, but so far these are 3. What do you think of this match?
I think Liv Morgan and Daddy Dom will win.
Yeah. I had a suspicious feeling you were going to say that, but you know,
I think the others will get involved somehow.
yeah,
It
they
may be a
always do.
disqualification. Yeah, maybe a disqualification, but I just don't see. I just don't see. You know, there's just too many in the faction. You know,
Oh yeah.
you only got 2. Yeah,
Oh,
I see. Liv's know how to put everything together and put people in place to help everything out.
okay. Real quick here, Sydney Bateman, formerly of the WWE, signed with ROH, formerly known as Reggie. Remember him?
Yeah,
Just signed.
he was he could do them flips and everything.
Yeah, he
right?
just signed a contract with ROH, and Mansoor and Mace are now down. Those glamorous guys, they're now with AEW. So there you go.
Wow.
So
Wow.
AEW is going to continue to sign old WWE talent, and I'm hearing WWE's bringing back signing AEW talent. So it's going to be going back and forth here for a while, as far as you know, that all goes. You know how that is. So the fight over talent. All right, when we come back after these words, we're going to talk about AEW and their pay-per-view coming up, All In London, right after these words. Ralph Williams here today to talk to you about Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. Allied Powers Wrestling Federation is a great independent wrestling company owned by promoter Bubba Brewer, who has been on Wrestle Talk shows with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin' Jim Frazier. Well, their next event is coming up August 24th at the Castle in Johnstown for some great independent professional wrestling. Come on August 24th, bell time 7 p.m. Get your tickets on AlliedPowersWrestlingFederation.com. And please don't forget, Sports Corner show with Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier is a sponsor of all Allied Wrestling Federation events, and also will be at this event as well as all of Allied Powers Wrestling Federation events. Head out to Johnstown, to the Castle, August 24th, 7 p.m. bell time. Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. I'm here today to talk to you about Ballpark Wrestling. Ballpark Wrestling brought to you by the Pros of Wrestling, Saturday, August 24th, Pullman Park Stadium, 100 Pullman Park Place, Butler, Pennsylvania. For tickets, visit butlerbluesocks.org, scan the barcode, and also call 412-335-1622 or at the Pros of Wrestling on Facebook. Meet and greet 6:30, bell time 7:30. The Ballpark Wrestling with the Pros of Wrestling. All right, we're back here at Wrestle Talk segment of Sports Corner. And Sports Corner is brought to you by every Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. We're here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. We're no longer live on Twitter X, and we're also live on Sideline Sports Network as well. And we're also going to be uploaded onto CRSMmedia.com as well. And more to come as the Sports Corner moves on. Don't forget, programming note, we will not be back here for Sports Corner. We're off for the next 2 weeks. We will be back on September 3rd. To get you started with the football season in September. And I'll be booking some great guests, even though I'm on vacation. I'm always on the phone and emails and whatnot trying to book guests. So we're going to have some great guests on September 3rd. I will give you the lineup. Stay tuned to my social media platforms. Also, don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel so we can make the 200 mark that I'd like to make by the end of the year. All right, Smokin' Jim, AEW, All In London. Match card this will be August 25th, 1 o'clock start time, pay-per-view. And let's get started here. First, it's going to be, let's get started with the mixed tag team match. Willow Nightingale, Tomoshiro Ishii versus Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. Your thoughts on this match?
Wow. I'd like to get your opinion on that one, bro.
I like Chris Statlander. I like the cleverness of Stokely Hathaway. You know, he's always got something up his sleeve. I see them winning this match. Although I like Willow Nightingale, but you know what? She's some kind of champ for one of those wrestling companies. So Casino Battle Royal, which will be a guaranteed title shot. I don't know who's in the Battle Royal. It's probably a bunch of guys. The lineup hasn't been announced quite yet, but they have announced that there will be a Casino Battle Royal, which gives you the opportunity to be number one contender for a championship match. So that's their money in the bank kind of thing. I think you carry a chip around or something with you. You cash the chip in, yeah, kind of like yeah. But it's a bet. It's set up just like Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank and all that stuff. All right, Jack Perry versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Now, I'm taking Darby Allin in this match if Jack Perry wrestles by himself without the interference of the Young Bucks. Your thoughts on this?
Ooh. The Young Bucks is going to get involved, but yeah, I think Jack Perry.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it's time for Darby to come back as a champ. Although Jack Perry will probably end up keeping it. He got involved in this in becoming a champion by winning a battle royal for the TNT or a sixth some kind of match, and he ended up winning the title actually. So I got to give kudos to Jack Perry. He really came around. I didn't think he was going to win with all those guys in that match, but he did. So, All-American champion, formerly known as the International Championship, held by MJF versus Will Ospreay. I'm taking MJF here. What do you think?
Man, I love him as a heel.
Oh, I love MJF. So he's my man.
He is so funny.
Oh, his mic skills just make you laugh. The way he talks and the way he, I had the privilege of meeting him at an AEW event. So the very first live event in Pittsburgh at the Pete, I went, of course, I have friends in security there. And they took me down to the locker room area. I got to meet him and Cody Rhodes. Cody remembered me from when I worked for the security company there. And he remembered me from there, and which was nice. And he said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm great." And then MJF come up behind me, pat me on the shoulder, and he said, "Who's this?" And Cody said, "This is Ralph." And he says, "Oh, how are you?" I said, I'm good, thank you. And it was a very nice conversation. So, I cannot complain about that. Okay, Smokin' Jim, this is the match right here. Mercedes Moné, okay, formerly known as Sasha Banks. She has the TBS Championship versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Your thoughts?
Two of the most sexiest women going, man. But I got to go with the CEO. I got to go with the CEO, even though the doctor's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know. CEO. I know. Yeah, you're right about that. Next, Toni Storm versus Mariah May. I don't know if you watched this a few weeks back. Mariah May was her assistant and stabbed her in the back. And your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, it looked like Storm. She got an evil streak in her now. So, I think that I think Toni Storm's going to win it.
All right, the final match of the night, unless they add more. All right, AEW World Championship match: Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. If Bryan Danielson loses, he retires from wrestling. Your thoughts on this match? This is going to be a good match. This is going to be one of the best challenges for Swerve right now.
Oh wow! I just think it's Swerve's time. I hate to see somebody have to leave wrestling, but I think it's Swerve's time.
Yeah, exactly. Bryan Danielson, he's been around a long time. You know, he's put his body through a lot with AEW right now, and or lately, and since he's been there, he had that streak, just like Adam Copeland, Edge, that they wanted to come back to wrestling full time, and the WWE wouldn't let them, and so now they're in AEW, both of them. I know Adam Copeland's out with an injury, you know, and I'm hearing stories his wife Beth Phoenix may be joining the fray at AEW, but I haven't seen it yet. But here's what I want to ask you, Smokin' Jim, and anyone wants to comment in the comment section. Guess who's signed with AEW?
Oh,
Here comes the money.
really?
Shane O'Mac has signed with AEW.
Wow.
He is going to be a wrestler and supposedly working creative. And now there are rumors. Now, these are just rumors. And Peter Blake and I had this discussion on the Sports Web Turnbuckle Talk show on Wednesdays that I'm on with him. We had this discussion that he thinks, and this could happen, that Vince McMahon and Shane, or Shane being there now, is going to lead into Vince McMahon buying AEW. Your thoughts?
Ooh. Legally, can he do that with all the legal problems he's having with the lawsuits with the women?
His son can.
His son can. Good point.
Yeah,
Good
he could
point.
give his son the money and say, "Here, you buy it."
Yeah,
You know,
I can see that happening.
you know, and Vince McMahon was behind the scenes when he was with the WWE and nobody knew it. Okay,
Yeah.
he can do it here. Vince McMahon's a smart guy. He's not going to sit back and relax. Wrestling's in his blood. I mean, you know, and for him not to be, I see this kind of see this happening, Smokin' Jim, because you heard me last week. I've said this many times on many podcasts, wrestling podcasts I've been on. Tony Khan has hemorrhaged since he's owned this company. The very first year he owned it, Conan said he lost $50 million. Conan also stated on his podcast with the Disco Inferno that it's continued. He has not made a profit since he's had AEW. And the audience fans keep going down. If you've noticed, and I don't know if you watch Collision very much on Saturdays or if you catch it or record it, do you notice now Collision is in a smaller venue? Have you noticed that? Okay.
No.
Collision is in a very small venue like TNA does, like ROH does. Okay. Like NXT does. Okay. They're in smaller venues now. AEW is not making it in big venues now. They're not selling out. Okay. The difference between the two is WWE does more storytelling, AEW does more wrestling. Okay. And I think Shane McMahon coming in here, Tony Khan bringing him in here, I think it's in the process of getting sold, because I want you to remember something. The Khan family owned the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have not put Jacksonville under the gun for public money for that stadium. They're paying for the renovations themselves. The father of Tony Khan has gotten involved in this now, and the family is very frustrated from the reports I've read with Tony for all the money he's spent on AEW and losing it. And again, I've said this many times. I don't care how much money you have, you can't afford to just keep throwing it away like that. Okay, and so that's what Tony Khan has done, and his family now is getting frustrated with him. And now they're taking an active interest in the affairs of AEW. And I think not to lose anymore, I think that they're going to sell it off. I really believe that. I
agree with you.
I think that could happen. And the rumors are out there. Vince McMahon wants to come back. So, you know. All right, we're going to go to a commercial break again. And when we come back, I'm expecting Chad Jarvis here any moment. see what's going on with him. He's supposed to be, he's going to be on with us at 6 here. All right, in an extended wrestle talk. We'll see what happens with Chad here in a few moments, or Tad, I'm sorry, Tad Jarvis in a few moments. And we'll be back right after these words. Here today to talk to you about Ballpark Wrestling. Ballpark Wrestling brought to you by the Pros of Wrestling. Saturday, August 24th, Pullman Park Stadium, 100 Pullman Park Place, Butler, Pennsylvania. For tickets, visit butlerbluesocks.org. Scan the barcode and also call 412-335-1622 or at the Pros of Wrestling on Facebook. Meet and greet 6:30, bell time 7:30. The Ballpark Wrestling with the Pros of Wrestling. Ralph Williams here today to talk to you about Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. Allied Powers Wrestling Federation is a great independent wrestling company owned by promoter Bubba Brewer, who has been on Wrestle Talk shows with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin' Jim Frazier. Well, their next event is coming up August 24th at the Castle in Johnstown. For some great independent professional wrestling, come on August 24th, bell time 7 p.m. Get your tickets on AlliedPowersWrestlingFederation.com. And please don't forget, Sports Corner show with Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier is a sponsor of all Allied Wrestling Federation events, and also will be at this event as well as all of Allied Powers Wrestling Federation events. Head out to Johnstown, to the Castle, August 24th, 7 p.m. bell time, Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. All right, we're back here, Sports Corner Radio, our Sports Corner show, our Wrestle Talk segment. And we have our special guest, independent wrestler Tad Jarvis. Tad, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, Smokin' Jim's my co-host is by phone. Say hello to Tad, Smokin' Jim.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Ted.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Tad, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're an independent wrestler in Western Pennsylvania. I know you wrestle for some of the companies. Who do you wrestle for mainly?
I wrestle for Rise Wrestling. I also wrestle for Prospect Pro Wrestling, and I also wrestle for 814 Wrestling.
Oh, okay, great. So it's all out in that direction, more or less. You guys were just in Oakland on Saturday, correct? Rise was in Oakland.
Yeah, Rise was
at Carnegie Museum. Yeah.
Yes.
How did that go? I was going to go to that after I was done with Enjoy Wrestling's event. I was going to go there, and then I didn't feel like going to Oakland.
From what I was told, it was a big, awesome event that happened. Unfortunately, I wasn't there myself.
Right.
I did have a show at 814 later that night, so I was getting ready for my title match. So.
Oh, okay, great. What's it like wrestling for the three companies?
It's awesome. You get to live your dream. Doing what you love the most. So. Getting to wrestle for each company it's a true blessing in itself. So being able to get an opportunity for all three companies, it's kind of huge. So especially for Rise, because like Thea Hale came from Rise Wrestling, and so did Moriarty and Lady Frost. So
okay, great. Yeah, I'm trying to. Your champ Chris is supposed to be. I'm going to try to have him on September 3rd. Coming on at 6 o'clock because he said he works, so his work schedule dictates. So we're going to try to have him on at 6, like we have you today, September 3rd. I got to get in touch with him. But anyway, I'm looking forward to trying to get linked up with all three of those companies as well. Our show sponsors Allied Powers Wrestling with Bubba Brewer, and we also sponsor the Pros Wrestling with Daniel Polinsky, and we're heavily connected with them too. And but it's great to have you on here as well. And I've been making friends with a lot of you guys on Facebook, and I got to meet some of the guys Saturday for Enjoy, which was over here in Allentown, where I live here in the city of Pittsburgh. And I got to see Cowpoke Paul for the second time. So that was, it was an interesting event. I mean, It was interesting to see some different wrestlers and different people. And then I was going to swing over to Oakland, but I didn't. My wife and I didn't feel like going over to Oakland, so it wasn't going to happen. So but anyway, but yeah, tell us a little bit about them the companies. I know Rise's main place is the Uniontown Mall. Where's 814? They're in what, Altoona?
They are in Worthington, Pennsylvania.
Worthington. Okay. All right. Yeah, I see. And the other company, what was the other one you said you were with? 814. Where are they located?
They travel between Altoona and Johnstown, so we go forth to each.
Okay. Where do you wrestle in Johnstown? At the Castle?
We do it at the Galleria Mall.
The Galleria Mall. Okay, yeah. Hey, you know what? You guys are resurrecting those malls, man, because those indoor malls, man, geez, I just wish they would have kept Century 3 Mall open a little bit or done something with that, because I know Phil Fleck, he does his match. He was doing his wrestling there. We've had him on the show here. And, he has to find somewhere else to go because he doesn't, it's Century 3 is not even there anymore. What's the best thing in regards to independent wrestling that you like the most? Is the fan interaction, the guys you wrestle with, or a combination of both?
I would say both. More it is the fans because, they are who makes us who we are.
Right.
But also getting to wrestle some of the talent that, comes in, because all around all these other, all the companies, they have different guys that come in. That's even like from guys from like WWE, like Dijak's currently our champion over Rise,
Right.
So being able to able to interact with all these other wrestlers and all these fans, it's awesome. And all the free, kind of like the free will we get with everything that we get to do. So, for me, I get to do a lot of stuff. Like I can get out into the crowd and the crowd knows what I'm doing already. So it's really fun with both parts coming together. So
Smokin, Jim, you have any questions for Tad?
No, I don't.
All right. Tad, we were at the Allied Powers wrestling match in April in Indiana, and it was myself and Smokin Jim Frazier. It was our very first wrestling independent wrestling match, and I loved it because, as you said, I like the interaction. Okay, and then I like the idea that you're closer to the event ring and everything else. And then I like sitting there and just razzling the wrestlers. Ask Smokin Jimmy sat next to me. I'm sitting there giving them, whatever, and some of them, and I'm like, But anyway, Mark Charles. Hey, Mark, welcome to the program. Trying to get you on here as well, Mark. He says slaps referees in the face. Don't let the smile fool you.
Oh, don't listen to Mark. Mark doesn't know what he's talking about.
I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah. So Mark's a referee. He gets around in the independent circuit, and I would. Mark, I'll be reaching out to you, buddy. I'd like to have you come on the show here, talk about refereeing. There you go. That would be a really good conversation. So but anyway, who are some of the current stars other than Dijak and who else have you wrestled with or has been at your shows?
We've had Money Shot. Me and Cowpoke Paul, we have went after Money Shot before. They're a good tag team. They've been together than me and Cowpoke or any tag team that's been around, which is Man Dime, Elijah Dean, and I'm gonna sound so terrible because I'm forgetting his partner's name right. But they are phenomenal at what they do. They hit hard, and they mean tag team business.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other guys. The Rad Boys. The Rad Boys been around. They're good.
Yes.
I'm currently tag team champions for Rise.
Oh, so, there you go. All right.
Me and my partner Jace Mara, we've been very fortunate to be able to win these again. We lost them in July, and then we regained them in July at the fair show at the Fayette County Fair.
Right. Yeah.
But with us being a fresh tag team, getting all these other tag teams in, I still want the main event to come around, so which is Duke Davis and Gannon Jones Jr. I kind of want them to come around so I could see where we're at based. But they're also a phenomenal tag team. So,
so when's your next event?
Next event will be this coming Saturday for Stomp Out Cancer.
Oh yeah, you're part of that. Okay, yeah. Bubba's been advertising it, and I've been sharing it. So, so I've been doing that. So that's good. With that, where's that going to be at?
It will be at the Uniontown Mall where Rise Wrestling normally is.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, exactly. So I guess that's going to be an interesting card there for that.
It's loaded. It's got matches that I'm excited to go see myself. I know I have Troy Lords. Troy Lords has been around and one of the best veterans around that's still in the game. So we never, with my 7 years of being in professional wrestling, we've never even been in the ring together.
Whoa.
So this is about to get exciting. So
you probably crossed paths, but you've never been in the ring.
We've never been in the ring. It's about to go. So
that's the nature of the beast. You cross paths sometimes, and you don't wrestle somebody, and all of a sudden here you are. You're wrestling. You guys are wrestling together.
Exactly.
So what's 814 up to, and the other company you're with?
814. Of course, I'm the 814 champion. As you've seen, Mark was running his chops a little bit because I happened to give him a little tap to get a DQ to retain my title because I'm the champion. I don't want to lose my belt. I'm going to do anything I can to retain my title there.
Retain, so, right.
But they're getting September 7th is their next show.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm gonna put this out there because I am putting a stipulation on my match. So I think for the first time ever, it's going to be a lumberjack match against me and GQ Maserati or DQ Maserati, however he wants to call himself there. So that's going to be exciting in itself. Lumberjack match. Neither of us can run away. There's no disqualification. So I get free range at that.
So Mark Charles better be careful, huh?
Mark Charles better keep his hands to himself too. So.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Tad, thanks for being part of the program today. I really appreciate it. And we will accommodate any independent wrestler we can. We're also any of your friends or anybody, if you want to hit them, throw them my way, they're welcome on this program anytime. That's our main goal. We like to work with the independent wrestling scene and bring some of you guys on here and talk about wrestling and things like that. It's a very good thing. So, and I'm happy to help you guys out. And Smokin, Jim, and I, we're happy to help you guys out, promote your product, your events, and things like that. So, but Tad, thank you for being part of the program, taking time to be here. Smokin, Jim, you have anything for Tad?
Hey, great job, champ.
All right.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you at events one of these days, Tad. I'm going to try to get out to one of your Rise events here soon. So as soon as I come back from my vacation. So I'm going to go up to Erie and see what they got going on up there. I know they have some independent matches that go on up in there. So I'm going to go up there and see what they have. But thank you, Tad. Have yourself a great one. And it was great having you on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. That was Tad Jarvis, independent wrestler, Western Pennsylvania, Rise Wrestling 814, and a few others. It was great to have him on to share his thoughts and his things. Smokin, Jim, your thoughts on Tad?
I tell you what, man, the booking machine, you outdid yourself again, man. Some great guests today, man. It was fun listening to everybody. And like you said, man, you're finding people that are doing something and you're shining a light on them, man.
Exactly.
And that's what journalism is all about, bro.
Well, I'm not a journalist. I'm just a talk show host. But you know what? You're right about that, though. But I am the booking machine. And, I'm always on the phone. I'm always on emails. I'm always on social media trying to gather these people up. And here they are. So, and I will continue to do so. There were some people who thought we weren't relevant after the radio show. Well, guess what, folks? It's going to get better and better and bigger without you. So there you go. So, All right, Smokin' Jim, thank you for being part of the program. Any final thoughts today?
Steelers play Saturday night. I can't wait, brother.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen Saturday. If I can get it up in Erie, I don't know what station it would be on, even if it was on up in Erie. I think one of the Erie stations up there carries Pittsburgh, one of the cable networks. So if that's the case, I'll find it or on NFL Network. I can always watch it on my tablet. I have NFL Network, so. But we'll see what happens Saturday. I want to actually listen to see how Rob King's doing Bill Hillgrove's new job. So I want to see. I didn't hear him this last time around, but this will give me an opportunity to hear how Rob King is doing. So uh, but Smokin' Jim, thank you. You enjoy yourself tonight with Pittsburgh Sports Line. I'll be tuning in. Have yourself a great night. Thank you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks here on Sports Corner show. And I'll be talking to you off the air here, Smokin' Jim. Later on, sometime in the next few weeks or in a week or so here or whatever. We always communicate back and forth every day. So I'll be talking to you. But have a great one. Thank you. Say hello to the guys for me.
I sure will.
All right. Thank you. Smokin' Jim Frazier, my co-host. Always great to have him here on Sports Corner. Programming note one more time. We'll be back September 3rd. We're off for 2 weeks. All RW Media shows. Watch all archive versions of any one of my shows that you want to watch. Is on my YouTube channel, Ralph Williams RW Media. And don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m., Ralph's Opinion. We have a lot to talk about, all kinds of national topics to talk about. And I want to show you my new opening intro tomorrow as well. So have yourself a great night. Thank you. Please be safe, and God bless.